Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to Electric Bike Journal. Today we are down in Arizona taking a look at the Lectric ONE. This is a brand new offering from Lectric, and I can't even really wait to begin to tell you about all the new features and tech that they have included into this new bike. But there is one thing to know. It's only $2,000, so we're gonna go ahead and get into the features of this new bike and show you how it rides. As I mentioned, there are a lot of new features in this new bike. To highlight some of those before we jump into the specs, there's a Pinion Gearbox, no derailleur, but you still got gears, a Gates carbon belt drive, a color display, and really a load of other features that really step this bike up from the rest, which when we get into those specs, the list just goes on and on of what this bike really has to offer. So we're gonna jump over to Samson so he can share with us really top to bottom what the One is all about.
Like many of the other Lectrics, you can see that this comes with 20-inch wheels, and it does have that compact frame size. That is kind of what Lectric is known for, and they really want to stay to that to keep the footprint pretty small for these bikes for that everyday commuter. Another highlight of this bike is the aluminum frame with those smoothed out welds. You can't see any of the welds on here, and they're also using hydroformed aluminum on here to really have those nice lines on here, as well as a aluminum fork. This isn't a folding bike like some of the other Lectrics, but it does have the foldable stem and adjustable bars, so you can really fit a wide range of sizes of the person that is going to be riding this bike. And it also makes it a little bit smaller when you want to transport this bike or park it in your garage or a smaller space. Another thing that Lectric added is that they have a through axle front fork. That way you have a lot sturdier front fork, and it is very easy to take on and off. The Lectric ONE also comes pretty much fully assembled minus the front wheel, so all you have to do when you get the bike is take that wheel out of the packaging, use that through axle, put it on the bike, and you are good to go. And for the batteries on this bike, the Lectric ONE comes with a 10.4 and also a 14 amp hour. The Lectric ONE is also fully UL certified to meet all those US standards for electric bikes. Now let's get into what makes the Lectric ONE pretty special, and that is the drivetrain of this bike. The motor on the Lectric ONE is Lectric's 750 watt Stealth M24 rear hub motor. This motor also has a peak output of 1500 watts, and the Lectric ONE boasts the highest power to weight ratio of any e-bike, since this bike only weighs 55 pounds. That motor is connected to the Pinion C1 6i gearbox, which is connected to a Gates CDC belt and a CDX sprocket, which leads to a maintenance-free riding experience. This Pinion C1 6i gearbox is a 6-speed internal gearbox, and it also connects to Pinion's proprietary Smart Shift app. Lastly, since you're going to want to be able to stop when you're riding this bike is equipped with hydraulic disc brakes with 180mm rotors front and rear. Let's talk a little bit about why Lectric made this bike and, of course, see how it rides.
Now there are a lot of really great benefits to that Pinion drivetrain and that carbon belt drive. The list really could continue to evolve on how beneficial that is. Now, being able to have the overall package here in that kind of Lectric identity with those 20-inch wheels, that square down tube frame, having a step over design, it really does work well for commuters and people that are going to be on and off, going store to store, shop to shop, office to home, home to office, whatever it is. They wanted to keep it compact like the rest of the bikes in their lineup. Furthermore, on the commuter aspect of this bike and safety, along with those UL certifications, the Lectric ONE has a new headlight and taillight design. These do now have different modes and flashing modes to say, hey, I'm braking, or look out for me, because visibility is very important when riding out on the road. Touching real quick into some of the frame design features of the One, there are bottle boss mounts on the top tube, which is also coincidentally the down tube, but you can run a bottle cage on there.
A really cool thing about this Pinion system is that it shifts down to 1 or 2, depending on what you pick in the Smart Shift app. So when you are riding and commuting, you don't have to think about shifting at all when you reach the light. you know, traditionally you would just have to shift down while you're going, and then hopefully we were pedaling when you do that, but you don't have to worry about pedaling and shifting on this bike. You don't have to pedal to shift. It's got that electronic shifting. So all you do is click the button and it will shift from a standstill, which is pretty nice. And you also don't have to worry about cross gearing or anything like that, because it does have this Gates belt drive. And I'm a big fan of these Gates belt drives. They just work well, they're quiet, and I'm a big fan of not having that maintenance. So they were concerned about the cadence sensor and how it would perform with this setup, and they went ahead and put 96 magnets in this cadence sensor, so there's a lot bigger of a performance gain in that area, and you can really feel that when you're pedaling. It's pretty instant, and you just get a nice pedal feel when you are pedaling this bike. As for the comfortability of this bike, it actually is super comfortable. Even with that smaller footprint of the bike, it does have the adjustable stem and the adjustable seat post, so you can make this bike fit a variety of sized people pretty well.
Well, it wouldn't be a trip down to Arizona to Lectric without having a talk with Levi. Now, Levi was able to give us a great rundown of this bike, and we've been able to share that information with you. But we were curious about one thing. What is the bike that you ride?
This now.
Yes.
Yeah.
What did it replace? You said now.
I was huge on the XP Lite for a while,
Yeah.
just because BMXy attitude. Then when I came out with Expedition, that replaced it just because the power delivery and that bike as a package is just so freaking good. But then this is just next level because it's kind of a flex, just like having a pinion system under your legs,
Yeah.
but it's also just like simpler, and you get a lot of the like joys of the same power delivery, but it's way more maneuverable. Like this weighs significantly less, it's shorter in dimension, so it's like this is just easier to like grab and ride than what my Expedition is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for you, is the Pinion the pinnacle of all the updates, new things to the Lectric brand? Is the Pinion like, that's what I'm most proud of that we were able to do?
Totally, because like no one was gonna make a bet that Lectric could partner with a brand like Pinion, right? So it was out of question, and it's now a reality.
It is definitely a reality, and it performs very well. Do you think that this technology might be kind of pushing into the future of Lectric depending on the response?
I totally hope this is not the last bike I get to develop that uses Gates technology and Pinion technology. Like once you do it, you're like, all right, it'd be fun to do again. So we got a lot of work to do, and we want to enjoy this moment and this bike, but it definitely gets the internal gears going.
If you had to think of the ideal consumer, the ideal rider for this bike, who is that person?
I think a commuter, like a true commuter, is someone who's going to appreciate this the most. I think there's still those entry-level riders from Lectric who just want the best from Lectric, maybe have a flexible budget, and they are going to get to enjoy world-class engineering, and they may not even understand completely what they're getting in terms of like the smart shift technology and a Pinion and a Gates CDX and CDC combo.
Yeah.
They may not fully get all of that, but the reality is it rides super well, so you don't need to get it in terms of enjoying it nonetheless.
Yeah, and for commuters, you were able to introduce a now even larger battery size.
Even larger battery.
330-ish pounds.
330 pounds of load capacity. The bike only weighs 55 pounds.
Yeah.
You know, it uses a 750 watt motor, so it gets going, it moves.
Yeah.
Like this thing is meant for commuters. The whole time when we were designing this, it's like what makes sense. That's why we did the smaller tires. That's why we shrunk it down, because we want it to be lightweight. We don't want it to just sit in your apartment. We want you to grab this thing, rip it up. Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, thank you so much for having us down here.
Totally.
We're looking forward to spending more time on this bike. And
Yeah.
of course, any open invites. We're always willing to come back down here. It's been raining for a while for us.
Yeah. Phoenix, Arizona, baby.
Thank you so much. This looks great.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
So Lectric really brought a lot of cool technology for a bike in that sub $2,000 range. Having the Gates belt drive with that Pinion smart system is super cool and would really be a great bike for someone who's pretty serious about commuting. So if you are a serious commuter looking for a bike in that $2,000 range, the Lectric ONE is a bike that we could really recommend to you. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. If you have any questions, leave them down below. We'll see you in the next one.